For my speech, I'd first like to start off with a survey. So if you have your cameras on, by a show of hands, how many of you think that I am an extrovert? All right, I see about half the hands raised, some people not ready to vote. All right, by another show of hands, how many of you think that I'm an introvert? Okay, no hands, some head shaking. And last question, how many of you think that this was a trick question? All right, so lots of hand raises. Well, the answer to that question will be revealed in the next 5 to 7 minutes. Another question for you. How many of you are familiar with the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator Test? All right, a few hands. For those of you who aren't sure what the Myers-Briggs Trait Indicator Test is, it's a series of questions in which the test tries to determine if you are in one of the 16 personality traits that the researchers Myers and Briggs have determined. I took this test in 2016, and here are my results. I am an ESTJ. So E is for extroversion, as opposed to I, which is introversion. Extroverts tend to get their energy from others, and introverts tend to get their energy from within. I got an S. S means sensing, which means I use information to make decisions, as opposed to N, which is intuition, and that's people who like to interpret their surroundings to make decisions. I got a T, which means thinking, and that means I use a lot of logic to make my decisions, as opposed to F, which is feeling, and that's using a lot of emotions to make decisions. And lastly, J. J is for judging, which means I like to make clear and decisive actions. And P is perceiving, which relates to people who like to let things hang in the air for a while. I know what you're thinking. Those of you who said, aha, I knew it, she's an extrovert, I was right. Not so quick, everyone. Because the test also tells you your preference for each of the letters. And here are my results. So I am a moderate extrovert, a strong sensing, a moderate thinking, and a strong judging. And what that means is I am only moderately extrovert, which means I only seek energy from outside myself sometimes, but I also seek energy from inside. I'm a strong S, which means I tend to use a lot of information for making decisions rather than interpreting my surroundings. I'm a moderate thinker, which means I use logic to make decisions, but I also use emotions. But I'm a strong J, which means I like to make decisive decisions instead of letting things hang in the air for a while. So I know what you're thinking. Those of you who thought I was an introvert, you're thinking, aha, I was right. I knew it. She's an introvert. But not so fast. This is actually a trick question. So those of you who said it's a trick question, you're the ones who's right, because no one can be 100% introvert and 100% extrovert. And during the last 12 weeks at home, I've had to embrace my introvert side. I have to find activities which fulfill me that don't involve a whole lot of other people. I read, I do puzzles, and I even color. That's right, I color, and I'm pacing myself because we're going to be at home a very long time. But I'm also finding ways to feed my extrovert self. I enjoy our virtual Toastmasters meeting. I enjoy virtual happy hour with my coworkers. I'm even going to enjoy the all hands meeting for my lab in a few hours. And my pathways is dynamic leadership. And what better time to practice that than now when we're all adapting and we're all changing. So Toastmasters, I'd like you to think about how you've been adapting to telework. And I want you to think about how you can be a dynamic leader now. And even though you're not in management, I want you to remember that not all managers are leaders and not all leaders have to be managers. As someone once said, the, the effectiveness of great leaders is being a good role model and not being an authoritarian. So thank you so much, Toastmasters, Madam Toastmaster.
For delivering a speech about how you're managing change over this coronavirus pandemic. So I want to start off by saying it was a great speech. You were very clear in how you spoke. I think you have mastered speaking on the webcam, probably because you do it so much now. So you were very engaging. You were using your hands. You had good changes in your voice and tone. So it really felt as though we were in the room with you. And so I thought that was a great job. I'm still getting used to having to speak on camera and adapt the way I move and my hand movement to be even more purposeful when you're on camera. It's a limited space, so yet you've made the most of it. So I thought that was great. I also thought it was great how you started off with questions, got the audience engaged. You asked us 3 questions about, and it was about the speech and trying to guess, what personality traits that you have. And you even gave us a hint that it may have been a trick question. So I was like, how can this be a trick question? This is so straightforward. It's pretty easy. But it was a trick question, and I got it wrong. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And you didn't reveal the answer to the questions until sort of the end of your speech. So great way to get everybody interested and engaged. It was also a very interesting topic. I think probably everybody that works in this has to take the Myers-Briggs test at some point. So I've taken it recently, and it's always interesting to go over the results and what they mean, and are they actually true to who you are, who you think you are, and how others perceive you as well. So I thought that was great as well. I do like how you kept doing not so quick, because that sort of helped us control our thinking. We may have been totally going down one path, but yet you helped show us how things were different. So, the test also shows preferences for each of the different items, so moderate versus strong. And I loved how you had the image, the word, and the ones that were strong were darker than the ones that were moderate. And so I think that also helped emphasize what you were trying to come across. So you owned the speech, you organized well, you had great hand movements, great voice, used props, so all of that was great. The only thing that I can offer in terms of a suggestion is really around the content of your speech. I guess this task was, or this project was on managing change, and for a while I didn't get the feeling that it was about change. But then once you got into it and you started to talk about how you're managing being both an extrovert and introvert, and how you've done things to embrace both of those sides of yourself through this process. So I did think that was great. But if we could have gotten an idea more of how it was about you managing this change earlier on in the speech, then I thought it would have been a little bit more relevant to the project. But other than that, you own the speech. It was great. It was very engaging. I love that you had questions and prompts, and how you ended the speech with a question about how we've been adapting and calling us to be more leaders and how we manage this change. So great speech. Thank you for sharing, and I look forward to hearing more. Thank you, Lisa.